Howard Finkel introduced me to the Dairy Queen Blizzard. I played a character, Vicious Vincent. That's when I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write a letter to Linda McMahon, not Vince. These are the people that Triple H are inviting to media scrums. Finkel would put the report together and only Vince's inner circle would get that report. In 2024, I am not a wrestling fan.
And we are back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your favorite pro wrestling storytime show. We call Behind the Turnbuckle with Coach and Carlucci, me and my partner, Big Tommy C. Tommy, this week is a big week for us.
I've been waiting for this. I told you, Coach, besides Cody, I've been waiting to have this interview with the man himself, Vince Russo. So let's not waste any time and get to it, buddy.
All right. You guys know that over the years, the wrestling business has changed from really the 90s when Vince Russo started with my man, Big Tommy C, inside of the WWE, all the way up to today. There are no punches held. There is no topic that is off limits. There is nothing that we won't hit on right now with one of the men who is so influential in the history of pro wrestling. I can't even tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, part one with Vince Russo.
Welcome to your life.
You can run from a bully for so long,
There's no
but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him.
What did the president know, and when did he know it?
I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wants to rule the world.
This is exactly why we started Behind the Turnbuckle, for episodes like this, for guests like this, and you guys need to know how special the next whatever is going to be. Let's welcome for the first time ever to Behind the Turnbuckle, one of the key figures in the history of professional wrestling, Mr. Vince Russo. Vince, how are you, sir?
Coach, what is going on? You and Tommy Carlucci, bro. When I heard you and Tommy were working, I was like, how the heck did these two pair up? But, man, we were talking, Coach, off the air. I mean, Tommy was on the hill, bro, for WWF softball. Coach, I'm going to ask you a trivia question. I bet you don't know the answer to this.
Okay.
Tommy was the star pitcher of the team.
Yes.
He did not manage the team. You know who managed the team, right?
Will you please give me a harder question than this to start the interview? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from parts unknown, the Fink, of course.
Yeah.
Bro, I'll give you a little bit more than that, Coach. Bro, unfortunately, in my latter years in the WWF, it was never the WWE when I was there. It was always WWF. The car consisted of me, Vince, Shane, and Ed Ferrara, unfortunately. However, when I first started going on the road, my driving partner was Howard Finkel, bro.
Wow.
And Tommy, Howard Finkel introduced me to the Dairy Queen Blizzard. He used to smoke Swisher Sweets.
Yep.
He used to drive with his feet. That time I got to spend with Howard, bro. Like what great memories, man.
And Vince, you know what? And I'll tell you my quick memory, because everybody looks back at that didn't know him or didn't know him intimately. Oh, he was this goof or he was this. He was a golden human being.
Yes,
and you guys remember this, that he used to stay at Holiday Inns, right? And he used to collect all the points. So remember the year that the Mets played the Cardinals in the NLCS, that great catch over the wall? So he bought up all of the box seats with his Holiday Inn points. And he called me up. It was Game 7. He's like, Coach, I've got 2 tickets. Do you want to go with me? And I remember telling my buddies, they're like, why would you go hang out with the Fink? I'm like, hey, it's Game 7. Let's go. I'm telling you, Vince, that was one of the nights that I will cherish for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Listening to him, he was a history book. We were the last car into the lot because they were already building Citi Field at the time. And we got in because the guy recognized Fink and let our car through. It was that's the night I think about the Fink, man. God rest his soul.
Yeah, it was just him and I, bro. So many trips together early on, man, and that was a blessing, man. I look back now, and that was an absolute blessing.
Yeah, he used to take me to he had jet season tickets. He had second row on the 10-yard line. Tom, you want to go? And I went with him. We had a friggin' blast, and he would mark out with all the fans, take a picture. You know, Howard, taking pictures, signing autograph. But such a great guy. We got along great. I loved his uniform. He had khaki pants and then the WWE shirt.
Always.
What a great uniform.
Yes.
And the left-handed fist. The left-handed fist. You get the third base. Way to go, coach. Way to go. You got the runner in.
Take a pitch.
Tremendous.
Well, let's start right there, Vince, because we got a lot to cover. And, man, the reason we started this show is just to tell stories, just to relive some of the best times in the business, but also to educate young fans today so maybe they can start enjoying the business for what it is. Could you have ever imagined in 2024 that you'd be sitting here making a living in the wrestling business, but not working for a company and talking to two idiots like me and Tom?
Oh, man, bro, podcasting, such a freaking blessing for me. I walked away from wrestling again, bro, in 2012 because the politics at TNA just got to a level that, bro, you know what it is? You guys know this, man.
Yeah.
The older you get, the less and less you want to deal with the bullshit. You guys know that. Bro, you want to play politics when I'm in my 30s. Okay. Yeah. Bro, when you hit 40, bro, so thank God I left TNA in 2012. I've been doing this for 12 years now. What a blessing, bro. What a blessing to be able to do this for a living.
It's really hard to think about it. And when they think about how you started, a lot of people may not realize, but you got started by writing a letter to Linda McMahon. Is that right? What was in that letter and why did you do that?
Yeah, but you know what happened, coaches, bro, the video business was just booming, but back then it was mom and pop stores. Mm-hmm. So I had 2 mom and pop video stores on Long Island, and I would be doing that today if video stores were still a thing. I loved it. I owned my own business. I loved it. And then, coach, sure enough, man, Blockbuster moved in next door and across the street.
Oh, no.
Yep.
So, the writing was on the wall for me. And that's when a guy, who was a dirt sheet writer back then, even though I had no idea what dirt sheet writers were. I had no idea that side of the business, but Tommy will know. His name was John Arezzi. He walked into my video store and he wanted me to advertise on his wrestling show. And then what happened was when I started working with John, I was introduced to the dirt sheet community. That's where I met Meltzer, and that's when I realized what these guys were all about. So me and John had a fallout. I went and I did my own show, which was part of the work. I played a character, Vicious Vincent, and I did Vicious Vincent's World of Wrestling. Bro, they used to, WWE worked with me at the Nassau Coliseum. I brought on, Savage and Mr. Perfect and Howard Finkel, before the shows at the Nassau Coliseum. We did a big live show. And, bro, I was paying for the radio time. I was paying like $500 a week because my video stores were going out of business. I needed a job. So I'm like, hey, man, maybe somehow, some way I can get in this wrestling business. I was running out of money, man. I couldn't afford to do my show anymore. And that's when I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write a letter to Linda McMahon, not Vince McMahon. I wasn't stupid enough to write a letter to Vince McMahon. With Vince getting 1 million letters, I bet. I said, but I guarantee Linda McMahon will read her mail. I swear, coach, little did I had no idea Linda oversaw the magazine. I had no idea. My degree is in journalism. I am a writer. I just wrote to Linda because I thought she'd read my letter. I get a call from Linda. She overlooked the magazine. They got me a job as a freelance writer. Tommy will know all these names, bro. Ed Raschuti.
Yep.
Ed Raschuti gave me a call, and Coach, I used to write 2 stories a month for the WWF magazine, $150 a story, and that's how I got my foot. That's how I got my foot in the door.
Oh my God!
Wow.
I didn't know till this moment that she oversaw the magazine. I had no idea.
She was my boss, and I will say this to this day, man, one of the best bosses I ever had in my entire life.
Classic.
Linda McMahon, without a shadow of a doubt.
She was my first boss, Vince. She did my first review, and such a gracious lady. She was smart as could be, and I just loved her. She treated everybody equal, and I was in awe sitting there as she's reviewing me, giving my review for the year.
Yeah.
So, Vince, you've been neck deep in this business for a while, right? What drives you to keep this going?
Guys, I got to be honest with you. Like, I don't know where you guys sit. In 2024, I am not a wrestling fan at all. The only wrestling I watch is if I get paid to watch it. Sportskeeda pays me to watch Raw. Wow. If I was not getting paid to watch wrestling, I would not watch wrestling. But Tommy, it's like you said, man, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. I'm not a fan of today's industry. However, on the other side of the coin, like you guys, bro, I've got 30 years experience in the wrestling business. I am 63 years old. No. I did this for 30 years. So how I cope with it basically is, bro, this is a job. This is just a job for me. I cover it. I talk about it. You want to ask me questions? I do an Attitude Era review show. I do a show with a lot of friends. You guys had Al on last week. Me and Al do a show every week. But I literally handle it like a job because I am not a fan of today's industry.
It is so funny that you say that because when we were discussing whether we were going to do this show and what it was going to be, that was the number, like 47 years combined in the business between me and Tommy. And I did an interview 6 months ago that I said I would never. Right. I hadn't watched wrestling in freaking 10 years. So I feel you when I say that. I think what drives me now is I don't want to work for a network anymore. And I know, to your point, that there's a huge gap, a chasm, if you will, between legitimate people who understand it like us. And if you guys want to take offense to this, take offense to this. And people who do podcasts in their basement that think they know about the business.
Well, right? Yeah, but you know what? I got to go to defense of those people. And I'll tell you why, Coach, because these are the people that Triple H are inviting to media scrums. What do you expect, Tommy? Right? They've opened the door to these freaking marks, and now these marks think they're a part of the business. Coach, you don't know this. Tommy, I know Tommy knows everything I'm talking about. We were talking about the great Howard Finkel, right?
Yeah.
Do you know, Coach, part of Finkel's job was back then, bro, I started working for the WWE like 93, 94. Tommy, when did you start?
1988.
88.
Yep.
Coach, part of Finkel's job was every morning he would put together the dirt sheet report.
Yes.
And at that time, Tommy, Coach, it was 2 guys. It was Keller and Meltzer. Okay? Wow. Finkel would put the report together and only Vince's Inner Circle would get that report. But, bro, that report was laughed at and mocked and made fun of. When I was writing for the WWE, bro, never once did I look at a freaking dirt sheet. Not one. I could care less what they were saying. I was interested in the masses, bro. I don't care what Dave Meltzer's opinion is. But I swear to God, Tommy, Coach, bro, about 20 years ago, man, I started seeing the WWE cater to this audience. Yeah. And I said to myself, Tommy, I never thought in a million years I would see the WWE cater to the mark niche audience, and look at what we have today. I blew my stack last week, Coach. Triple H is having the scrum after King of the Ring. Tommy, we're talking about botched spots at the scrum. Bro, wherever Vince McMahon is, can you imagine? Coach, we're talking about botch spots at a wrestling press conference. Bro,
and not answering them, by the way. Not answering the question, by the way.
It's over. It's free. Wrestling as we knew it, the business we were in, bro, that's over. It's gone.
Let me ask you this, and I'll tell you real quick, the thing that flipped it for me, and you guys have all been to Albany. You know the arena in Albany, and there's that Chinese place right next door?
Yeah.
And for like 6 months, I would read this one writer who would just, coach is the worst, coach is the worst, coach is the worst. And I was like, oh, my God. So every week I would think, how can I get this guy to like me? And we're in Albany one week, and I go next door, and there's all these fans there. This kid comes up and goes, hey, Coach, can I take a picture with you? Yeah, of course. Let's go. He goes, by the way, my name is so-and-so, and I write for this particular website. My whole world stopped. I was just like, wait a second. Yeah. And he was like 16 years old with pimples all over. And I was like, this is the kid? This is the person that for 6 months? And that's when I realized that the dirt sheets were nonsense. But it took me a while to get there.
Oh, yeah. They had no influence on my writing at all with any company I worked for because, bro, the key was getting the masses. The masses don't read dirt sheets. The masses don't know who these people are.
Amen.
You wanted to get your casual television viewers who were not wrestling fans. That's who we went after, Tommy. You know that,
that's
bro.
Right. That's right. You're absolutely right. And Vince, speaking of the masses, you were there before The Rock, right? And Stone Cold Steve Austin. So how was it making these guys iconic characters when you got your hands on these guys?
Man, it was real simple, Coach, because it was just a matter of making them part of the process. And I'll give you a perfect example, Tommy. And bro, listen, guys, according to the dirt sheets, everything that comes out of my mouth is a lie. Bro, I'm a grandpa. I'm 63 years old. I'm going to lie about professional wrestling, Coach. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lie about professional wrestling. But Tommy, here's what happened. Vince would just, give these guys characters. Here's a perfect example, Tommy. He had just signed Austin. Now, Tommy, I was a huge fan of stunning Steve Austin in WCW. I didn't watch Austin's work in ECW because I didn't watch ECW. But I knew Austin could talk. So, Coach, what would happen was every time there would be, if a guy was ready to come up to the WWE, if we signed somebody, Vince would call me in his office and say, okay, Vince, this is the character and this is what I want. So he called me in his office. The conversation was about the ringmaster, Steve Austin. And his exact words to me, Tommy, was, Steve Austin's going to be with Ted DiBiase. Steve Austin is not to say a word. Yes, Coach, that was me. And I knew in my mind, Vince had never seen Steve Austin. Either Bruce told him, to hide JR, he'd never seen him. So I sat there and I'm like, Vince, you do know Steve Austin can cut a pretty good promo. And he said, Vince, he's not to say a word.
Oh, my.
So, Tommy, there was a guy in the office. I don't know if he was still there when you were there, Coach. Rich Baker. Okay.
I never met him if he was.
Okay.
I knew him. I knew Rich.
Baker had a great relationship with Steve. And Steve kept telling, and Baker, see, bro, Tommy, I didn't work in the fourth floor with the big shots. I was on the second floor. I wasn't a big shot, but Baker was like on the second floor.
Yeah.
And Baker was really close with Austin, and Austin kept talking about this Stone Cold character that he wanted to do. So Austin got a hold of me at TV, and he's like, Vince, whatever you got to do, bro, you got to find an opening for me. Just find an opening for me. So sure enough, Coach, I'm sitting there, I'm writing the weekly show, and there was a spot to put Steve on color. So I wrote that into the show, Tommy, to put Steve on color. Coach, the 10 minutes that Austin was on color, he made himself a multi-millionaire.
Wow.
100 times over. And when Vince finally heard Austin on color, we were off to the races. But Coach, this is how, I don't want to disparage Vince. And bro, I'm not one of these guys throwing, shit on top of Vince. I am a guy of, bro, you are innocent until proven guilty. There's a lot of allegations out there, bro. I don't know what happened. You're innocent until proven guilty. But I'll never forget this, bro. Austin cuts the 316 promo with King of the Ring, Tommy. He came up to me before he did it. Goes, Vince, I want to run my promo by you. Bro, as soon as that came out of his mouth, I'm like, Steve.
Oh,
money.
Exactly. I mean, the first time he ever said Austin 316. So, Coach, he cuts the promo on Jake. I go back to the office. I'm the editor of the magazine. I am so excited about this because I know this is money. We have the Raw magazine, bro, and the cover of the Raw magazine is a close-up of Austin's face from King of the Ring. We made it black and white, grainy, and there's red blood like coming down his lip. The headline reads, Austin 316. Tommy, back then, Vince was doing the play-by-play. He was always at the studio.
Yep.
So, Coach, I would have to bring the magazine covers over to the studio to get Vince's approval. So, bro, I got this beautiful mock cover of the Raw magazine, Austin 316. I bring it to Vince. I swear to God, he looks at it. Tommy, the glasses come down to the nose.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
The whole game. Coach,
Of course.
And he goes, what is this Austin 316? I said, Vince, he said it in his promo at King of the Ring. Bro, this is going to be it. He looked at me, Tommy, and said, I don't understand it. I don't know what it means. Take it off. I changed the headline of the magazine. It does not say Austin 316. But what happened was Austin kept repeating it over and over and over again. So to get back to your question, and keep in mind, Rocky, The Rock was Rocky Maivia when I started there. Coach, to answer your question, they became part of the process. The talent needs to be part of the process. As a writer, when I'm writing the show, I'm thinking of 50 wrestlers. They're thinking of their character 24/7. They don't care about anybody else. So who knows their character better than them? So it was important to make Austin part of the process, Rock part of the process. They became part of the process. And that's when you really started seeing a lot of wrestlers really coming into their own. It was a working relationship. I didn't write them a script that they had to read word for word. And that's how you started seeing all these characters come into their own at the same time.
I've said so many times, and I'm so glad you just told that story because, I do so many interviews and shows and stuff, and they always ask about that. And I said, listen, the problem with talent today is they sit in the arena and they wait for something to be brought to them by writers who maybe graduated from college 6 months ago and don't have a clue what they are writing about. And that's why they go, oh, there's nothing for me. Oh, they never used me, instead of back then, Rock never wasted 1 second of the day. The minute he walked in the building till the minute he walked out, it was all about The Rock. And how do I get myself over and get over all my catchphrases, sell merchandise, and get more TV time? That's what he was all about. But the one mistake, Vince, that I thought Vince McMahon, and we talk about him on the show, so we're allowed to talk about him. We just, because he's part of the story.
Well, of course he is.
Right. So one of the mistakes I thought he made was not giving guys time off and the whole 52 weeks a year and stuff like that. But you were in like the pressure cooker. And when you're trying to write a banger and you're starting to do this, and every single week you had to come up with that, what was that process like for you?
I got to tell you guys, it really, and I don't know why, it's crazy for me to say this, bro, because I wrote and produced a wrestling show. Coach, it really was a gift from God. It's what I was supposed to do because every week the shows came very easy to me. And I even remember saying to Vince, I don't know where it comes from, but I'll tell you where it comes from, Coach. And this is what's missing today. I'll give you you guys watched last night's show?
Yes,
of course.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
Here's the key to writing a successful wrestling show. Bro, when I was sitting in front of this very computer, just me by myself writing these shows, when I'm writing for Austin, when I'm writing for Rock, Taker, Goldust, you name it, I put myself in the shoes of the performer. So when I'm writing for these guys, I'm becoming them. And what that means, Coach and Tommy, is if you have a certain situation, every single character on that show is going to handle that situation differently, the way that character would handle it. So in other words, you have to stay true to your characters. What would Rock do if this happened? What would Austin do if this happened? You've got to stay true to your characters. Now, Tommy, man, we were coming from a world, Coach, where baby faces wore the white hats and heels wore the black hats and baby faces acted this way and heels. No, bro, everyone is a shade of gray. Okay, good people do bad things, bad people do good things. Everyone is a shade of gray. So as long as you stay true to your characters, the show writes itself. Because if this happens to Rock, this is how he's going to react. If Mr. McMahon does this to Austin, this is what he was going to do the next week. Case in point, last night's show. The general manager, whatever you want to call Adam Pearce. Okay, bro? Wait a minute. You mean to tell me your character in the role that you're in, you are going to embarrass one of your talents in the middle of the ring and have him apologize to two? Oh, you're not going to do that in your office in the back.
Never.
You're gonna humiliate. And Tommy, bro, and this was before Coach even got there. But Coach, there was a time in the WWE where the talent was everything, Tommy, right? Everything. Talent was number one, Coach. Everything. That was what Vince shot that in your head. Yep. So now, Tommy, here we got a big star like Drew McIntyre, and we're going to humiliate him and embarrass him in the middle of the ring? No, bro, that's bullshit. That would never happen in real life. So what did you do? Now you turned a heel into a babyface because the people know, wait a minute, bro. Can you imagine if my boss called me out in front of all the employees, bro? Now you've made him a babyface. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about staying true to character. That would have never happened, Coach. He would have addressed it in the back, had the referees there. But no, bro, we're going to call this guy out. We're going to humiliate him and embarrass him, and then we're going to wonder why he shoves the referees on their ass. Really?
Or Vince, we talked about it on our show last night.
Yeah.
He says, "Look at me when I'm talking to you."
Yeah.
What?
Exactly, Coach.
Upside the head.
That's the problem, bro. I became these people when I was writing for them, and that's exactly right, Coach. If Pierce says that to Drew, yes, that's exactly what's happening. Exactly.
And the other thing, Vince, was what was the payoff? There was no payoff to anything. Oh, you're suspended again? Well, we knew that in the beginning. Right.
And not only that, bro, but to a regular casual television viewer, Tommy, when you're suspending him again, I'm like, okay, bro, I'm done with this. That's what a regular casual fan is saying. I'm done with this, bro. Okay, he's suspended. He's not suspended. He's suspended again. I'm done with this. And then, Coach, here's another thing.
Yeah.
We made this mistake one time, Tommy, one time, and we never made it again. So now, bro, you're telling Drew you're suspended, okay? And, bro, you see this every single week. The top stars are in the opening segment, then they leave. They're off for the rest of the show. We saw that on SmackDown 2 weeks ago with Owens, Orton, and Cody.
That's right.
They cause chaos. Then we're sending them away, and they're not on the rest of the show, okay? So one time, bro, we made a mistake on Raw where Vince sent Austin home. Bro, we got the ratings the next day. The minute Austin left the show, the number went, boo. One time we learned from that. One time. Why are you sending Drew McIntyre off the show? Why 10 minutes in the show are Owens, Orton, and Cody getting in a car? And why would you do that? If I am a Cody Rhodes fan, right, and now it's 8:10 and Cody left the building, why am I watching the rest of the show? These are elementary mistakes, bro. Elementary mistakes.
Tommy. Strong stories. We're only halfway through.
Yep. Strong isn't the word, Coach. That guy, he lays it out on the line, pulls no punches, and that's what we like, Coach. And folks, when you tune into this, you're going to hear stuff you never heard before coming from Vince Russo.
All right. We still have part 2. So coming up next week, right here on Behind the Turnbuckle, part 2. What's his biggest regret? What would he tell himself in 1997 if he had a chance to talk to him today? We cover all that and so much more on part 2 next week, right here on BTT. Take care.
Welcome to your life.
There's nothing a retired governor can do, but a president, now he can do a thing or two.
Everybody wants to